Today is a Tuesday and I'm working and commissioning up, testing my homemade ice cream plate freezer. This is one that I designed myself, and it's very simply a plate, a 3mm plate with the edges turned up, and underneath the plate I've wound a series of 3/8 copper pipe in a serpentine effect, backwards and forwards. Okay, and underneath is the little engine, and you've got an ordinary refrigerator compressor. There's a little tiny condenser over there, which is rather like the radiator on a car. It sucks the air through, and there's a little solenoid valve here, and we put that in so when the unit gets down to temperature, the compressor stops and the valve shuts the refrigerant and stops all the liquid going into the cold part of the evaporator up here, so that when the compressor turns on again, it doesn't slug a load of liquid back, which is not good for the compressor. There's a little high pressure switch there. We go around that side. There it is. So if there's a blockage in the condenser, it trips out and saves the compressor. There's the little liquid solenoid valve. And here is the little controller. And there's a little sensor wire that goes all the way up the top and senses the coldness of the plate. So now I'm going to turn it on. Oh, this is a little receiver here which holds the refrigerant. Okay, so I'm now going to turn it on and we're going to see what happens. Right, so it started up. It's flickering away here because it's the frequency of the mains to the actual camera on the phone. But it'll get down to -25, so it's very silent, hardly draws any electricity at all. This little device here is actually the expansion device, and if you imagine that it's rather like on an aerosol of a deodorant can, when you squeeze the top of the deodorant can down, the refrigerant squirts out under your arm with nice smell, but the gas is released into the atmosphere. This doesn't happen here. It refrigerates, gets nice and cold, and then it's recirculated through the plate at the top here, and then comes out through the suction here. Now this little pipe is deliberately made at this height, and that is to make sure that the refrigerant is fully saturated in the plate here to give maximum efficiency. Of course, somebody might think this is a handle, but I put on here, do not lift here, because it's not a lifting handle. This is only a prototype I've made for a friend of mine. There was quite an involvement in making it, but it was rather interesting, and I rather like doing it. And we've made all nice, neat pipe work. So the temperature now is dropping down rapidly. So we should, at the moment, start to see a series of freezing serpentine patterns on this plate. Now the plate has all been disinfected, so it's all nicely and clean and sterilised. And in a minute, I'll put some ice cream mix on, and we'll see how it performs. Right, it's now been on for 5 minutes and it's down to -15 already. It's working well. This is just a little domestic compressor off a refrigerator, which I've selected out, and it's very quiet, very silent. We'll probably have to fill in the sides here, but we need to obviously not fill them in completely because it needs to draw the air in, so we'll probably have to put some vents on each side. But this is just a prototype. It's got adjustable rubber feet to it, so you can adjust it if it's got an uneven floor, and because they're rubber, it's nicely resiliently mounted, so there's no vibration at all. Now you can see the top of the plate is starting to freeze. You can see the serpentine effect on there, and as I say, it's all been disinfected, so we'll pour some liquid ice cream mix on in a minute and give it a try. Now, in case you're wondering why it isn't getting cold underneath here, between this tray here and the other one on top, I've got some insulation. Some Celotex. Now, although I know everything about ice cream machines, I'm not a dab hand at actually doing ice cream. So I've got a spatula here which has been sterilised, and this is used for paint scraping. and I've got a wooden one here, but I think you actually need two of these, and you sort of, it's like a patty, you join them both together and you can sort of scrape the ice cream mix up. So we've now got a temperature of -22. So I'm now going to get some ice cream mix and pour a bit on and see what happens. Right, let's just see what happens if I pour a bit on. This is a liquid ice cream mix. This is actually Angelito ice cream mix, which you put into a Mr. Whippy machine, but it's no different to an ordinary mix. I've even got a bit of strawberry flavoured sauce here, which I might put on. So you leave it to freeze. Now freezing. Oh, it's freezing already, look. And you're supposed to sort of scrape it towards you, like that. As I say, I've not actually ever done this before, so this is all, I'm sort of doing it with my left hand, but I should be doing it with my right hand, but this is only a small amount here. But you lay it on there, and you're supposed to let it freeze, and as it freezes it becomes more solid, and ideally the mix probably should be refrigerated so the plate hasn't got to work so hard. Like here, it's starting to go now, it's starting to go. People who normally do this are probably expert in it. Look, you can see it's actually starting to freeze, and I always love a challenge, and building your own ice cream machine. It wasn't that difficult to do. You've got to have a bit of knowledge on it. But this looks all right. I'll use the other one just to clean that off a bit, because you're supposed to do it with two hands, you see, and you sort of pat it together. So you put a big dollop on. If the actual ice cream mix is already pre-chilled and it's down to say 0, then you're going to make the ice cream a lot quicker when it falls onto the plate here. So yeah, you sort of pat it out, don't you? It's rather like doing a pancake on a hot sort of plate, but it's or not. It's not a pancake, is it? What are they called? Flat cakes or something like that. You pour on the mixture and you have one of these and you just turn it over and it's done, isn't it? Browned off. But this is actually working quite well. It's almost like the consistency of sort of putty a bit at the moment. So it's working okay. What is the temperature now? It's -21, so it's pretty good. It'll go down to -30, but it really depends on what sort of mix you use and how it freezes. But it's all adjustable. So yeah, it's all right. It doesn't look too bad at all. Let's have a. Yeah, so there's a definitive art in it. As I said, I'm a refrigeration engineer. I'm not anything into do to culinary expertise. I leave that to other people. But it is working. You can buy these on the internet. I believe they are available. They're quite expensive. I think they're a few £1,000. And this one didn't cost anything like that. But it's, as I said, it's a prototype. I'll just let that cool a little bit more, and then I'll keep scraping a bit in here. You can see it's definitely cooling off. I think the idea is possibly to lay it out over an area, so it's got plenty of, it's more of an area of coverment, you see. Otherwise, if you put on one, I think that's how they do it, something like that. And then you literally just keep patting it, and let's have a little pause, let it cook a bit more, or freeze a bit more, I should say. Right, so I think it's done. It's nice and solid. Looks all right. I'm going to put a little bit of strawberry sauce on it and see what that tastes like. And it's all, as I say, it's all a bit of an experiment. I'm just going to push that off with the Yeah, it's gone pretty hard now. And this is just a typical ice cream mix. It's not the best stuff. I think probably if you had a homemade one, which you can probably buy. But there we are. So let's scope it up. Yeah, now you'd probably put that in a couple of cones or something like that. I'm now going to taste it and see what it's like. Now, if I collapse and fall down, you hear it clatter. Well, I've had a good life. So here we go. Let's try it. That is really good. That is really good. Excellent. So for a Tuesday afternoon, I'm getting my pleasure from my homemade ice cream plate freezer. It's working very well. Bye-bye from Norfolk.